Singh. Welcome to CLATapult. I'm a third year law student at Gujarat National Law University. I took my CLAT in 2021 and I was able to secure a decent rank which landed me in this college. And today I have with myself these two amazing personalities who are actually here to assist you guys with your overall preparation. So telling about them, they have just cracked their CLAT recently, the 2023rd edition to be precise, and they have just joined the campus right now with me. So I thought that the team which has just done it right now, like they've seen it all, they've faced it all, the most recent batch for the examination prior to you guys, why not just ask them, get a prior hand experience that how things actually go. They have been through the ups and downs which you are going through right now, and I think they will be able to help you out with all of it. So
So, hi guys, myself Shanaya. I hail from Varanasi. I secured an AIR 412 in this CLAT, and this got me to in GNLU.
I am Jhalak Bhatia and I am from Anand, Gujarat. And it has been just 1 week of mine in GNLU, but the campus is awesome and I cleared CLAT in December 2022.
okay, perfect. Verbal ability we start with. Right now, we all know that it's majorly reading comprehension with full of vocabs and all. So, what was in your head when you were preparing for a generic examination like that? Like we see, there's very thin line between English and logic these days. In the actual examination, it's not like a huge difference is there. So practically, you say that there are a lot of concepts in logic, and I do agree to that. We always learn a lot of concepts in logic first, but now we have to, alter our preparation for English and logic. So what was going inside your head when you were preparing for the examination, for that matter, and anything you would want to say? The floor is all yours.
Jhalak, you should start.
Okay, so English was like I enjoyed reading a lot from the very beginning of like 6th, 7th standard. I was a part of book club also in my school, so reading was my thing. So it was the thing that I needed to work on was speed because as such I was interested in different genres and all the aspects. So speed was something which was like very necessary for CLAT, and even the questions have reduced right now. Speed plays a major role because it has not reduced for 1 or 2 participants, for everybody. So you will have like equal competition. So speed was something to work upon. And the second thing was like the genres, because I chose a particular genre which was like my comfort zone, but CLAT won't work that way. So you'll have to read newspapers as well. You cannot restrict on to just fiction or non-fiction. You'll have to cover everything. So that was something. And the second thing was vocabulary. So that was like with practice I used to get it, because every time I heard a new word, I used to write the word and its meaning, and like I used to stick it on my wall. Even now, like after the CLAT is over, the things are still on my wall, the sticky notes that I had stuck. So every day, like when I used to pass through the wall, I used to read all those stuff, so the meaning got revised. And using them in everyday vocabulary, like sometimes I used to that particular idiom or that particular word, I used to include it in my daily life conversations. So the conversations would be in Hindi, like generally in our mother tongues only with our parents, friends, etc. But using that, like, or keeping in mind, okay, here I could have used that word, the word was appropriate. That would keep on revising it, and revision is the key whatsoever, like vocabulary also. So that was the thing, and then English was fine for me.
Okay, that helps. So a couple of points to mention here is, first thing you talked about vocab. So actually this is the same thing which I employed during my prep, not the thing about sticking it on the wall, but I was not good at vocab per se. So when I started with my prep, I used to everyone starts with the newspaper, right? You just gotta get the Hindu or Indian Express and start reading it. I was not able to comprehend it per se because of vocab. My vocab was not that good. So what I did, I used to write 5 words daily from that newspaper, not more than five. Like nonetheless, I'm not able to understand like 10, 12, 20 of them, 50 of them, but my limit was five. I used to only write five. I used to memorize those five. Next day, I used to write add five more, five more, five more, five more, and the revision thing was daily. Like I used to revise 5, 10, 15, 20. So jitna wo बढ़ता चला गया, I kept on doing this, and when I closed in during my examination, I memorized like 900 or 1200 new words, which I use right now in my law school, which are very much beneficial. You will utilize all of them in reading judgments and any other thing per se. So vocab is one thing. Next point which you just mentioned, that you cannot restrict yourself to one sort of genre. You need to explore other options, because if you'll see the examination, actual examination per se, they have a very diversified content. They have passages from science and tech, they have things from climate change, they're asking things from economics, which will come with those heavy words which are only understandable if you have some knowledge about economics. So you need to diversify your genre, of course, and that is where newspapers come into play. Like you are reading newspaper and there is some editorial on economics, then some government scheme is there, then some international dispute is there. So that is an excellent advice, that you need to diversify your overall reading thing. And apart from that, speed still plays a very major role in CLAT. It is always a race against the clock. So let's start with legal this time. The big game. Everyone is like, we haven't heard of legal. We have never. What is this subject all about? What are we going to do about it? So let's go. Let's unlock the biggest giant in the room.
Okay. So personally, I find legal to be very interesting. I like reading the Bear Acts. Like I used to read Bear Acts for CLAT. I yeah, I have done that things also. And but eventually that things doesn't work for me. So my key points from the preparation was make the mocks your Bible. Stick to the mocks के questions, mocks के paragraph. Do analyze them well. Like do analyze what coming from this legal reasoning, what genre they are covering. Like if they are asking malicious prosecution, you should be aware of the language. Read some blogs about it if the mocks didn't went well. So I used to fucked up in arbitrations wale passages and domestic laws wale passages. The coaching only used to teach you the core legal, like the, if I'm not wrong, contract, tort, constitution. So I was sorted on that part. If that was coming in any mock, I used to score like on an average. If they are asking 10 question, I used to get 8, 9. But when they are asking about like current legal knowledge, I used to get in CLAT, there were so many passages of current legal knowledge. So I got a bit panic at that moment in CLAT, but eventually my key point is you should be aware of the legal knowledge ke languages. So keep reading some, like if they are asking in mocks में वो generally source बताते हैं. So go to that source and read that whole part of that particular blog, I would say.
Okay, so
Yeah.
one thing you talked about is the current legal knowledge thing, which is
Yeah.
now very much prominent in the examination. So,
Yeah.
one source you mentioned that in the mocks they do put in the source of the passage where they're coming from. But is there any generic source where you referred to, reverted back to get some sort of gist of the legal knowledge thing? Is it live law?
Um, yeah, live law, but you should be very smart in choosing the passages if you are going to live law, because there are so many passages, so many topics, judgments coming on the live law. So it might get overwhelming for you if you can't decide.
Yes.
So yeah, that
So
is the
you
thing.
need to understand the art of filtering. Well, I have something which I have, prepared during my journey of preparing for the examination and then teaching to a lot of students. So what I used to do is I try to connect the dots. So when you go to live law or any other blog, so first thing which I would like to recommend is you can try joining their Telegram channel. Okay, so there you will just get the headline that okay, this has been reported, this has been reported. So first thing is whenever something very happening is happening, some breaking news is happening, their title will start with the term breaking. So that is something which they usually put in a lot of these mock, because they know that you're not actually having some knowledge about law per se, but something which is very prominent, because these breaking news are the one which are going to make headlines in the newspaper, and then that becomes current legal knowledge for you. Now something which is happening in CRPC or any other law for that matter, that is not that relevant for you, but obviously if there's a judgment on our constitution, say the judgment comes out tomorrow for same-sex marriage, now that is something which live law will be full of. That is something which you'll have to read, because again, You need to understand that they're not going to ask you specific law based questions until and unless it is making into the general knowledge part, that the entire public is reading the same thing, then only they're going to proceed with it. So that is one thing you can try, employing it on. Obviously, guys, this is an art. This is not something which you can learn overnight. You give it time, you get like a week, 2 week, 3 weeks, and then you'll see you understand the art of filtering things, and you're only going to read what is important for you, and try to leave the rest of the thing. So any other
Also,
add-ons? Yes.
I would like to add that be very smart in choosing the option in legal reasoning, because they do make you confused between a very absurd language. Don't choose that. Choose only that language which is connecting to the passage. Yeah. So that is the key thing, like plus point
So
for
my
winning.
question to both of you guys can answer this.
Sorry.
My question to both of you guys. So
Yeah.
what consortium generally does in a legal passage? They give you four options, and two of the options are like you can discard them while even just looking at them, and then you're left with the remaining two, and that is where the game starts kicking in, where you understand, okay, what is happening now. This one is also closed. This one is also closed. So, what's your take on it? Like, have you gone through any of these questions during your prep or the actual examination? And were you facing the same problem? How actually were you able to resolve the same? If you can shed some light on it.
Okay, so I like faced it almost all of the time because two options are actually so close that you cannot eliminate even one. And then you mark D and you think that okay, D is not the answer, but when you check D is the only answer. So that happens a lot. But the thing is that gradually I learned that the option which is having the language which is closest to the passage, the same words that are either mentioned or are making a sense in one way or the other, the thing that is mentioned in the passage. The other option may be that which may be like factually correct, even legally correct, but it is not linked to the passage, then you can leave that option. So passage is now the core here, and that is something which you need to look if you need to eliminate between those two options. So that plays an important role. That played for me, like the elimination technique.
Yeah, elimination is definitely, if you go by the saying that Brahmastra, the weapon of all the weapons. So elimination method is the Brahmastra for CLAT examination. Like you gotta
Yeah.
eliminate the thing, even if you're not able to actually pinpoint the answer, but you can just eliminate all the three options. Then you can go for the correct answer, even while not knowing the correct answer. And that is what I've been trying to teach my students while teaching GK. That GK is not about knowing the exact answer, but trying to get away, trying to figure out to the right answer. So the question is made up in such a way that they will try to navigate you to the right answer. You just need to inculcate the habit of doing this, and that is something which comes up with the mock. So like it's not something you're gonna learn overnight. So this is the examination which example which I always take. Now CLAT is majorly a skill based game. Okay, now for let's take an example of Virat Kohli himself, excellent cricketer. He has done like amazing job, but there are days when he is also duck out. वो बंदा भी जीरो पे आउट होता है. तो बिकॉज क्रिकेट इज अ स्किल, इट इज नॉट समथिंग विच यू कैन रिपीट एवरी सिंगल डे. वो ऐसा नहीं है. लाइक वो टाइम लगेगा. समटाइम्स यू हैव बैड डेज, थिंग्स गो साउथ, एंड क्लैट इज ऑल्सो लाइट इट. रीडिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंशन, trying to analyze a lot, trying to read a lot, and at the same time getting all this information and just employing time management. All of these are skills, and you will have bad days. The main thing is you got to keep moving on. You try to learn from your mistakes and then prepare for the D day. And even at the D day, you just stay as chill as possible, and that is how you're gonna make sure. Just take it like a mock, take it like just one last thing. Okay, now day after tomorrow I'm just gonna be done with this thing and I'm gonna enjoy my life. I don't care how it goes. So do it like that and you will be good to go. And that is, I guess, that is how all of us are here, and I'm pretty sure like a lot will be joining us following the same mantra. Anyway, let's switch to CR then, if that's fine with you all. Sure. Cool. So CR it is. Then you guys, whoever wants to speak.
I think for CR, it's like if your VA is good, then CR automatically gets good. That's the point. But you have to get some bit points like some fundas of core critical reasoning questions like what is the assumption, what is the conclusion, what is the main idea. That is the thing. You should like revise the theory, revise it twice, thrice. Even in mock, if you get some core questions wrong, revise the theory again. Uh, um, like be careful where did you getting wrong. And if your reading is sorted, your CR will be good. Like CR का हाइप बनाया होता है पर वो होता नहीं है. If your English is good, then CR will be sorted. And
Okay.
my
Yeah,
CR
I
was
would
the
just like
strongest. Even in CLAT, I got 28.75 in CR. So it's like
That's an excellent score. Yeah. Yeah, Jhalak.
Okay, I would like to add to what Shania said. Like she said of practicing the theoretical portion, also revising that. So I would like to share my incidents because CR for me was a like very weak subject. I was not so good at CR. In the month of like I was practicing it continuously, but I was not getting scores at all. So what I did was in the like very prime months, October and November are prime months for preparation when you have exam at December. I picked up theory once again. I thought that it's fine, it's not time waste if you will do that again because as such my scores are not coming. I'm wasting my time attempting those questions if my theory is not clear. So I revised my theory like in the month of October and on November first week. I revised it then and then I started giving mocks and it actually improved my scores a lot. So at whatever point you feel like going back and revising the theory, you should do that because that's something that will actually help you improve your scores.
Excellent point made. So that is how this, that is the beauty of this examination. For one, this thing is very easy. This section is something which I'm very good at. And from the other one, okay, no, this is something which I'm not good at. I need to work on this. So that is how this examination pans out. It's not like, so I understand that it's a very reading heavy examination, but that is not the end of the world. So if you're not very good at one section, you still have choice, you still have option to improve that particular section while working on the rest of the sections, which Jhalak did, because she just said that like last 2 months were there and she reverted back to theory, which is something a lot of mentors would advise against ki nahi nahi mat karo, now is the time that you practice a lot of questions and then take the d-day. However, she reverted back to the theory. She wanted her concepts to be crystal clear and then it actually worked for her. So it's not like ki you can always leave things aside, that if they're not working for you, ठीक है छोड़ो मैं आगे बढ़ जाता हूँ, इसको छोड़ता हूँ आगे बढ़ जाता हूँ. And for this we have something in the end, that now this is something which you cannot do because of the recent notification. Further, I would like to add something, that CR for me is a very generic thing. That is something we actually inculcate in our everyday life. Suppose you're reading newspaper. Now, there's a small article. So how you can actually incorporate the learnings, the theories, is by practicing this thing, which I always ask and encourage my students to practice, that while reading the passage, you try to get something in your head, that what is the tone of the author, what is the main idea which he's trying to convey. Or you get a line like this, something xyz line, then you try to understand, okay, by adding this word, by adding this terminology, I can actually strengthen this argument. By doing this, I can weaken this argument. So you hack your brain in such a manner that you're incorporating those basics, those that theoretical part while reading a passage. And while doing so, like you practice this for a month or two, and then you'll see that when you're reading a passage for CR, while reading the passage itself, you're able to understand, you're able to gauge that, okay, ये इसका मेन आइडिया है, इसको मैं ऐसे स्ट्रेंथन कर सकता हूँ, ओवरऑल आर्गुमेंट ऐसा है, ये ऐसा है. तो इट विल बिकम अ हैबिट ऑफ योर्स कि तुम वो बात करोगे ही करोगे. एंड दैट्स इट फ्रॉम माय एंड. यू गाइस वुड लाइक टू ऐड समथिंग?
Adding to you, I would like to say that I kept doing this thing. Like I used to read an article in Hindu, and I used to mark this is the main idea. Okay, this is how I can strengthen like this passage. This is how I can weaken this passage. This is the summary of this passage. Like I used to do it in initial month. फिर last में तो like it got so hectic, so it was sorted for me. So in initial month, I used to do it, and it was really helpful.
Okay. Cool. Then we move to the next giant of our room, general knowledge. Everyone's just afraid of this thing, and this is the subject which I actually teach at CLATapult here. And trust me, I love teaching this subject. But your batch is something which has faced a GK paper, which was just, I think, it was the toughest paper since the pattern got changed. And that is what my take on the paper is, because the facts which they asked were very niche. So what's your take on GK? Now let's try to unveil your secrets, because this is the question which every candidate has on their mind कि भाई GK क्या होगा, इतना vast है, इतने topics हैं, कैसे करेंगे, क्या करेंगे. So let's try to address this issue.
Okay, so first of all, the best source of GK is like the newspaper for sure. But the thing is that again, you need to understand what topics you need to cover. So, looking at the past few papers, like what I did was there were few common topics, like there will be for environment passage for sure, there will be something related to science and tech for sure. So, I distributed among that, and topic wise, I started covering GK. So that was one thing. The second thing was that I was spending like initially too much time on GK. And then once you are doing GK, you feel like you are doing something, but actually you are just doing that. GK is like a vast ocean, it never ends. And you try to drink all of that, which is not possible. So you need to selectively take your cup and take whatever you want to drink. That is one thing. So you need to dedicate time to GK, but again, you need to restrict your hours, because then you don't give time to any other subject. You are like, okay, I studied so much, but the only thing you studied was GK. So that was happening with me because I wanted to cover like everything, each and every big and small news. But then again, I could not give time to other subjects. So then I started restricting, okay, 3 hours, 2 hours, that's fine. And on weekends, you can give more time. And revision is obviously the key, because without revising, just writing the facts or noting facts in your laptop won't work. Like, you won't remember it unless and until you don't read them again and again. So revision is one. And like GK is something which you need to make sure in your mind that you need to expect the unexpected things. Because what happened this year, like FIFA was very unexpected topic. Then many other topics were unexpected, except that one election of president. I guess everything was unexpected for me, especially. So you need to keep clear in mind, and at that time also you need to keep your calm. In the paper, you cannot afford to lose your calm. Otherwise, you will lose your ranks by hundreds or thousands. So you need to keep your calm there. And in that 5 questions, also just look at like 1 or 2 questions would be generic in that passage. So concentrate on that. Try to answer that. Try to avoid negative marking if you are not sure of the answer, because GK, either you are sure or not sure. It is black and white. There is no gray in GK. So avoid negative marking the maximum in GK, and then it will be good to go.
Okay, thank you. Shania, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I would like to add on Jhalak, like one statement I would comment for the GK is the most important rule for the GK is there is no rule. Like I have tried everything for GK, banging my lastly I was banging my head. Ki what is happening with me? Why I'm not getting score in GK? Uh, I tried making digital notes. I tried making handwritten notes. I tried everything. I tried Drishti, IAS, GK today, but it's like GK's I would say very comprehensive thing, very large thing. You can't cover all the things. You have to be very smart when it comes to GK. Even in CLAT, I would say like if if I had to go कि मुझे ये सब आता है, मुझे बस इतने क्वेश्चन आते हैं, तो मेरे बस 12-13 नंबर इतने आ रहे होते जीके में. सो आई गॉट दैट इंस्टिंक्ट कि नहीं, मुझे ये आता है. तो मैंने बहुत सारे फ्लूक्स लगाए एंड लाइक मेरे स्कोर्स 21 अराउंड ऐसे कुछ थे. सो यू हैव टू बी वेरी स्मार्ट while attempting GK. Yeah, and that you will over time you will get by attempting mocks. Like flukes lagana. Flukes, I would not say flukes. It is the intelligent guess. I would
Yeah,
say very educated guess.
yeah.
Yeah. And
That's
but try to cover as many as things you can. You can't afford to miss GK. GK is the one thing that will gonna make you into your dream law college, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is very true actually. GK and quants combined are the real difference maker for majority of the test takers. Now, my take on this section is that you need to understand why are you studying this, okay? So because that is the only thing which specifically has a subject per se. Now, other thing they're reading comprehension based. So you can still mess up in the examination while knowing the the concepts, the logic while practicing. But GK is something कि अगर आता है तो आता है, चले तो चांद तक, नहीं तो शाम तक, ठीक है, ऐसा सीन होता है. नाउ व्हाट आई ऑलवेज टेंड टू promulgate कि भाई ऐसा है, you need to understand that GK is something which you should know. You know what is happening around your lifestyle, what is happening in your country, in the overall world, what is developing, something like that. That is something you should know. So I always come up with this thing: 4 Ws and 1 R. Suppose you get this topic, what, when, and then how, why. So why is the main thing, that why is this thing happening? Right now about this news that okay, something is happening in Russia. Some Wagner group was about to do a military coup against the Russian regime. Why is this happening? Now you connect it with the war. Okay, there's a war going on between Russia and Ukraine, and then they're saying that the Wagner group was fighting the war for Russia, and now they're feeling like it, the Russian army is not helping them. So you understand the why of the topic. Then you come back to the topic again, then you understand the facts. Now, GK is something which is divided into two fronts majorly. One side you have the facts, and then you have the concept. Every topic will come up with some sort of concept, and that is something which you should know, that it is very vast. Someone is having good knowledge over economics, तो इको का कोई टॉपिक है, बजट आ रहा है, तो उसको बजट समझने में दिक्कत नहीं होगी. समवन इज फ्रॉम बायोलॉजी, सो कोई अगर डिजीज फैल रही है, सम जोनोटिक डिजीज इज स्प्रेडिंग, देन उसको उसका कॉन्सेप्ट समझने में दिक्कत नहीं होगी. सो इट इज समथिंग व्हिच एवरीवन इज हैविंग सम सॉर्ट ऑफ प्लस पॉइंट्स, एंड देन दे हैव सम नेगेटिव एस्पेक्ट्स टू. You need to understand that, and after doing this curious part, all these W's, you need to move to that R, which is revision. Now revision, like all of us have to go through this process again. There are some who are blessed, some who can just read things once and then for them it's over. Okay, theek hai, meko to yaad ho gaya. But that is not the rule, that is exception. You need to understand. By the end of your, like when you're there taking the examination, you would be thorough with them 300 that QT is something which you cannot leave. I mean, ना लोगों ने किया है, ना लोग करेंगे, ना आगे कभी होगा. Again, you may find exceptions here and there, but that is not the general rule. So, and coming to something about the new pattern change. Okay, now you try to understand what has happened. 150 से क्वेश्चन रिड्यूस कर दिया 120 में. अर्लियर पीपल यूज टू लीव क्यूटी बिकॉज दे यूज टू थिंक कि एनीवे हमारा टाइम तो लग ही रहा है, तो माइट एज वेल लीव दिस सेक्शन एंड ट्राई टू सॉल्व ऑल द रिमेनिंग क्वेश्चंस. नाउ इट्स 120, so you are getting say extra 15 minutes, minimum 15 minutes extra, and now you have to convert those 15 minutes into more marks. So suppose earlier you used to solve one set or two set of QT, now you have time, now you cannot afford to leave a single question of QT if it is doable from your end. Okay, so now the entire race against clock thing that okay QT का एक दो section बन जा रहा है so बाकी section में I can do it, that will not work. You need to make sure कि जितने भी sections हैं, everything you finish all of them, all the sets of the QT must be done completely. Now how do you do QT? Now that's a very specific question and it differs. Trust me, I do not want to discourage you guys, but trust me guys, so this examination is planned out in such a way that everyone has some sort of advantage and they do have some sort of disadvantage. Now if you are someone who has been reading newspaper, you have advantage in the CR section, GK section or something like that. If you are a keen follower of general knowledge, you have an edge in GK. Similarly, those who have been solving QT time and again, they do have an advantage in QT, but the gap is this. Okay, because this is not a subject based test. You understand what I'm saying? The subject, the entire subject of QT is not something which is very big. In +1 +2, if you take PCM, if you take mathematics, you have calculus. That's say 70% of your +1 and +2. Now that is not there. Okay, Trigno is not there. So majority of the mathematical sections are not there, the portions are not there. You are confined subject wise, you're confined से इतना gap होगा मुश्किल से इतना सा. The main reason is your ability to quickly solve questions. You do quickly mathematical operations, like you need to multiply quickly. Now one rule which may sound very sluggish to you is something which I followed. You try to memorize what is 1/2, what is 1/3, 1/4, 1/5, 1/6, 1 till 1/16 you memorize in point value and in percentage value. So suppose they ask you कि 33% निकालो, 33.33%. Now if you know 1/3 is somewhat like that, you can simply multiply it. So you try to memorize these values. You can easily memorize say 17, 18 numbers, like it's just like table. Now next, please memorize table. I know that बहुत दिन से कमांड नहीं है तो लोग उसे छोड़ देते हैं because they feel like कि हो जाएगा, but again time savior है, जरूरी है. Now these are the basics. Then we come to this subject itself. There's a syllabus in the subject. You need to go through the syllabus. You need to understand each and every concept. अब प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस में बेसिक से शुरू करो. अगर नहीं आता है तो देयर इज नथिंग रॉन्ग इन एक्सेप्टिंग, ओके, कि मुझे नहीं आ रहा है. तो यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम द स्क्रैच. नाउ क्लैट का जो क्यूटी का सेक्शन है, इट कैन बी डन विद इन जस्ट 6-7 months. ट्रस्ट मी. Profit and loss, you have time, speed and distance. Then sometimes so obviously you will have caselets, you will have graphs. Now that is secondary thing. उससे पहले you need to understand the syllabus itself, right? You need to understand ये percentage निकालते कैसे, area निकालते कैसे. Then you go to that stage कि okay मैं इन boxes को कैसे solve करूँ, how this DI can help me. And caselets का ना बिल्कुल डरना मत. When I took CLAT, all the 3 sets from QT were actually having caselets. No graphs were there, no data representation was there, pictorial data representation. So a lot of people thought that it is actually hard, whereas it was the easiest section. I mean, everyone could kill it. I got like 13 out of 14 in that section with just investing like 12-13 minutes. So first thing, do your basics. Second, speed के लिए calculation speed बढ़ाने के लिए basics याद कर लो, percentage याद कर लो, कुछ tables याद कर लो, squares की value याद कर लो, ताकि इतना याद कर लो ताकि time बच जाए. Next thing, syllabus अच्छे से कर लो. Make sure you understand each and every concept. Okay, now it has a syllabus, it's not a skill, it has a syllabus. You need to know the syllabus itself, like you need to know several formulas, then only you can. And also don't try to memorize those formulas, especially in say you have mensuration, no? You need to calculate areas and all, so you just try to learn ki area kya hota hai. It is the enclosure of the lines, you know, the entire surface that lines are enclosing, that is the area. Then what is the volume? The capacity of the figure, whatever the figure can, you know, acquire or keep in itself, that is the volume. So you understand the basics. Once your basics are clear while understanding the concept, things will be crystal clear, so you don't worry about that. Now with this, QT will be completely done, nothing hard. You'll be able to just ace it through. And then we come to the general thing of CLAT. Don't worry guys, सब अच्छा होगा. Consistency is the key. Okay, मतलब if you are consistent, it's just perfect. Now you have to be consistent anyhow. Feel free to drop your queries as soon as possible. We'll be happy to help. Thank you so much. Please have a great day.